Good evening. My name is London 3, and for my social psychology final project, I'm going to talk about conformity. Conformity is something we experience almost every day, whether it's following trends, agreeing with social options, or changing our behavior to fit in socially. In this video, I'll explain what conformity is and discuss a famous psychological experiment and show how conformity affects people in real life through a short social experiment and interviews. Conformity is a social psychology concept where people change their behaviors, opinions, or actions in order to match the behavior of a group. In simple terms, conformity happens when people go along with the crowd, even if they may privately disagree with what the group is doing or saying. People conform in school, at work, on social media, even in small situations like deciding what to wear or how to act in public. Sometimes people conform without even realizing it. One of the most famous studies about conformity was conducted by psychologist Solomon Asch in the 1950s. In Asch experiments, participants was placed in a room with several other people who were secretly actors working with the researcher. The group was shown a line, then asked which of the three other lines matched its length. The answer was very obvious and easy to identify. However, before the real participant answered, all of the actors intentionally gave the same incorrect answer. Even though the correct answer was clear, many participants still agreed with the group instead of trusting their own judgment. Ash found that people often conform because they feel pressure to fit in or avoid standing out from the group. This experiment demonstrated how powerful social influence can be, even in situations where the group is clearly wrong. There are two major types of conformity that psychologists often discuss. The first is called normative social influence. This happens when people conform because they want to be accepted, liked, or included by others. People may agree with the group publicly, even if they disagree privately, because they do not want to feel embarrassed or rejected. For example, a student might laugh at a joke they do not find funny just because everyone else is laughing. The second type is called informational social influence. This happens when people assume the group knows more than they do. For example, if someone is in a new environment and everyone is behaving a certain way, they might copy the groups because they believe the group's behavior is correct. The first question is, have you ever done something because your friends were doing it?
No, I've always been a person who, a positive leader. I think I was a leader of most of my friends, and I always tried to choose positive things to do. So I've never been a follower, and I never can remember times of doing things because my friends did it.
Okay, so do you feel like social media increases pressure to fit in?
I do think that social media increases pressure to fit in. There are a lot of youth who seem to follow things that they see done by other youth.
Okay. Do you think that people act differently when they're alone versus in groups?
Yes, I do think that people, especially young adults, um, I can say from experience with my own children, I think they act different home than they would out with a group of friends.
Okay. Okay, the first question I have is, do you think social media increases pressure to fit in?
Yes, because social media, like, it might peer pressure you to think something cool, and it ain't cool, and then you do it. You know what I'm saying?
And do you think people act differently when they're alone versus in groups?
Yeah, you know, like when you alone, like that when you yourself, you know what I'm saying?
All right, thank you. In conclusion, conformity is a powerful social psychological concept that affects people in many areas of life. The Ash experiment shows that people often follow a group even when they know the group is wrong. Today, conformity still influences behavior through peer pressure, trends, and social expectations. Learning about conformity can help us become more aware of how group pressure affects our decisions and encourage us to think independently. Thank you for watching.